Hi there, I'm back. So the next part I'm going to be doing is basically a part that kind of hangs off this upper foot up here. So I'm going to need to do some work on that next. Now, what I should really do is just select this part and this part here. And I apologise if it's a little bit noisy here, by the way, it's just like that sometimes. Okay, I'm going to hide unselected. I know that's the front there, not that it especially matters where the front is at this point. But what I need to do is start with a tube. So I'm going to go over here to my standard primitives, get my tube and just bring it out like this, then up, because I'm going to align that one with this one. Okay, and now I can basically start moving this about a bit. So radius 1 I can go out and will to round about there. Radius 2 can then go out. I'll go out to round about there. So it's just sitting on top of this really, like that. Now I'm going to change the height on this, bring it down, maybe make it about 5, which is obviously considerably less. And my left viewport and zoom. And like I said before, if I hit 4, I want one sitting on top of the other. So there we go, down to here. There we go, and pull back. Okay, now if I go into perspective and zoom again. Okay, and got quite a bit of stuff to do on this one, so it's going to take a little bit of time probably. But it's not like any of us are in a great rush really, is it? So, first of all I'm going to decide what part's the front, and I'm also going to decide whether or not I can divide this thing up. Because if I can, it's going to make my job considerably easier. So, top, zoom, and if we look, that and that form a 90-degree angle, so yes I will be able to. So I'm going to do a right click, convert to editable polygon, then I'm going to grab by editable poly and get rid of that. And that, there we go, all gone. Now if I use my rotate tool and just rotate it about 45 degrees or minus 45 degrees or whatever, there we go, into there. That gives us a good starting place. Now, got a bit of stuff to do here, so it's important that we start off in the right direction really. First things first, I'm going to do a swift loop, and that's going to come down to round about there. Like that, and then I want to take these two and these here. Okay, I want to take all of them, and I'm going to use these by basically adjusting them. So put a swift loop in round about here at the back. Then I can start removing polygons that I don't have any use for anymore. Like that. Play and delete. Now, in order to make my job a little bit easier, you're probably thinking, well, it's pretty easy already, Chris. Shut up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get this, 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 and this. Get my top viewport, and I'm going to flatten them. So, go here like that. What I've done is I've just scaled them down on the y-axis here. Now I'm going to use my move tool, and we can see where it needs to move to. It's not really a great mystery. Drop in perspective and zoom. Right, so we can see we've got that nice straight edge there. So what I'm going to do with this straight edge is I'm now going to kind of half it a little bit because I need to. Oh, well, do I? Actually, no, I don't. What I'm going to do instead is kind of look at the shape I've got here. Yeah, I'm going to extrude this by hinge from edge. So I'm just going to take that off. Turn that off. Take this instead. Here and here. And do a hinge from edge. Just pick my hinge. Just be that one. And this time I'm not going to delete my end hinge, incidentally. So I'm going to make this 180 degrees and make it 12 segments. So I need plenty of those. Click tick. And I'm going to want it to come all the way around onto the other side as well. So what I'm going to do with this is select these and extrude by local normal. Now I realise these aren't necessarily correct on the ends here. I can fix those, that's not a problem. But I need this to come in a bit more. So let's have a look at how far in that is, and that looks better. And you move it in just a little bit less. There we go. Click tick. Now I can go to my top viewport, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to re-rotate this back 90 degrees. Now the reason for that is because I want to straighten up these parts. You see these? And it's something that I can't do while they're in that position. There we go, just bring that across to there and then bring this one down. Because remember what I said in the previous part, partly because I'm lazy but also partly because it works, I don't turn off the jaggies. I don't turn on anti-aliasing, so that's why I did it that way. Now back to there again. Now I could make this just by combining a lot of different shapes, but I like the challenge as much as anything of doing something like this. That's kind of why I'm doing it this way. So I'm going to take these and delete them, and then I'm going to do another swift loop all the way back here, and then delete those. I think, did I just make the wrong polygon or something? There we go. Now what I can do is take this just here, and I'm going to continue hinging from edge until we get a complete circle, and then I can click delete. Now you can probably see at the back here we've got some that have gone through, but that's okay, we can work on that in just a minute. First thing I'm going to do is just Control A to select all of the verts and click weld. And as you can see, we now have 2 less than we started with, which is the correct amount for what I need. Now, it's quite a complicated shape, this one, incidentally, so don't let it freak you out. I am going to delete a few polygons for the moment, just so I can work a little bit easier. So I can put those back again if I need to soon. There we are. Now what I'm going to do is come in and start deleting polygons that aren't needed. There we go. They are gone. Now I'm going to isolate this to come underneath it. And if I have a look at this shape here, as you can see we have a few polygons that we really don't be needing. So I'm going to get rid of that one, and that one, that one, and that one, and then their little friends too, like that. And that way I have room now, or whatever, to basically work on these pieces. So what I'm going to do is look at this shape here, and in my top viewport, I often pause, by the way. This shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone who knows why either, because sometimes I need just have a think about which direction I'm going in with this, you know. So if you think to yourself, oh, why is he dawdling? Well, it's because I kind of need to. Okay, now this one. And this one. And pull back, just to make sure these spokes kind of stay even. It's one of the reasons why I've done that. Now I'm going to take this one, put it there. Actually, I think I'll just line these up so they fit in these places, so it's more logical really. And then I can just adapt that circle we've got in the middle there, and it should fit pretty much exactly anyway, so we'll do that. Now, I've had this asked before. It's like people say, well, Cris or Olblue or whatever you want to call yourself, why do you not do practice runs before you make this tutorial? Well, as an example, I mean, this tutorial here, I don't know how long it's going to take precisely, but a lot of my tutorials are very, very long, and if I built the entire model in advance rather than doing what I do, which is to kind of do prep, then I'd not want to make the tutorial anymore, because to me, once a project's done, it's done, and I don't go back, I don't revisit them, because I just don't see the point. So hopefully that might answer your question. Okay, now I've got some bridging to do over here. Yeah, you're probably like that yourself, especially if you work kind of in the industry at all. Most people don't really enjoy revisiting projects. The kind of I suppose exception to that one was the Dreadnought set, because I genuinely quite enjoyed doing the Dreadnought set, but it was a hard set to do, so there was a lot of tweaking and stuff, and I quite enjoyed going back and redoing parts of that fella. But you got to admit, this is quite a fun little complex shape here. Some robots are fun to go back to, though. Okay, now what I'm going to do next is look at these parts here, because they need to obviously be pulled in. So I'm going to grab this one, and this one, and then I'm going to grab this one, and this one. Now what I can do is just hold down Shift, and then I can just come right in and see if I'm close to there. I am. Good. See, if the distance is basically negligible, then it doesn't really matter too much. Now I can go back to Control and A in vertex mode, click Weld, and again things are getting sewn together properly, as they should be. Now what I'm going to do here is go into my pieces there, and I want to put one more, actually rather than put one more in, I think what I'll do is I'll take this edge out, so Control backspace, and that'll get rid of all offending like verts as well. Control and backspace here, and then if I just select this bit without moving it, and then this bit, and then do two connects, so that's one, just change that to two. Now I can fill in these parts, you see. So what I'll do here is hinge edge, so not hinge edge, sorry, bridge, like so, and then here, like that. Okay, and then underneath. I love these, just lovely big space to build your hinges. Well, not hinges, what are they called? Pistons. God. It's been a long day, my brain's a little bit loopy. It's been nice though. not being too hot. It's fun doing this. Okay, now I'm going to delete edges that I don't need, so that's these. Pull out, and these. And I'm going to save this as my workbench. Because I always do, it makes sense. Right. Come around and look at this shape again, which is what I'm doing. And I'm going to select here, just double click it. Then here and double click it. And then I can go to my scale tool to scale this wide like that. There we go. And I can chamfer this now, which is what I intend to do. To make that shape there like so. And then what I need to do here is select that, click grow, click shrink, oh, it doesn't work, never mind, click grow, 2 of these, and then deselect using Alt. There we go, that deletes those, and then come straight in there and bridge. Okay, so now we have this one piece, and it's quite a complicated looking little piece, which is cool, because that's what we want. Now, for the underside of this, okay, because we've got a little bit more work to do yet, I'm afraid, what I'm going to do is go into here, and I think these were 12, so that's going to be 24. I'm going to build a cylinder. I'll come into there. Actually, not a cylinder, sorry, it's a sphere. Have it come into there. And I'm just going to line this up. And then I'm going to change the amount of polygons in it. So at the minute it's 18. 24 is the amount that we need, as you can tell. And now I'm going to line it up, so it needs to go up a little bit more there. And that is just about lined up, it needs to go a little bit more to the left. Because we can't centre it by pivot at this point, because this don't have one. Right, now left viewport and zoom. And what I'm going to do is bring that up. To that middle point there, perspective zoom. The reason being that now I can lop off the top and the bottom. So right click, convert to editable polygon, and then that goes. Now I could have just done that in the sphere create panel, but I chose not to. And then I'm going to take off these bottom parts here, like that, and that gives us this shape. And that's the shape that I want. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to do a shell on this. So if I press S and just grab the shell when I see it, which is just here, and I don't want any outer amount, I want inner amount. I want the inner amount to there. You see it? Just there. Like that. Okay, and then with that done, I'm going to right click, convert to editable polygon. Okay, now bring this down, and what I'm going to do is select this edge here, and then I'm going to ring it, and then just control, select by polygon, and delete. Before I do though, I'm going to flatten it, because it's not quite flat. And then I can connect those two together. Or, and here's a mad idea, I can also bridge the two together. I'll show you how I do that. Select this one, attach this to it. Now, Don't attach them the other way or we'll lose our pivot point, by the way, and our pivot point's very important. Now here I'm going to do a ring. Control select by polygon. See? Go back to what it was though. So select there. I'm going to select here. Do a ring. So now both of these are selected by ring. Control select by polygon. Bridge. And suddenly these things are connected together. Now that means I can grab all these, bring them straight up like that. Just hang them down a little bit. There we go. And that gives us this, which is, as you probably know from when we did this previously, basically a socket to have our piece hang on. Now, what I should do at this point is exit isolation. So I'll just let autosave do its thing and then end isolate. Reason being, I just want to make sure that it's not hanging over anything that it shouldn't be hanging over. Okay, well it kind of is, because as you can see, that part there. However, we should be able to work around that. Let's just unhide it all. I can see they're behind it. So I might have to either move those in a bit or move that out a bit. We shall see. We shall see. Have a look at this. There, I just scaled it out a little bit like that, and now it seems to be okay. But because I've done that, when I put it all back together again, I'm going to want to reset my pivot, my X form. Okay, so I'm going to go back to isolating this, and because it seems a shame not to, let's make this shape a bit more interesting. So that's the front. I'm going to take these out like that, and then take out these ones as well. And then 3 down. There we go. Now, go here, go to the bridge tool. Let's bridge these across. Now this is a job where I'm not going to be using subdivision probably, simply because, you know, it's a complex odd shape. I mean, I might do, I don't know, I'll see how I feel. But it is a complicated shape. Actually, sub D might work on this. Maybe. I do know it's quite a complicated little piece. Right, so that's a nice shape there. Now for the top, which is pretty much going to be doing the same again like we did with the previous model. So I just do this. I want to round this a little bit, because as you see that has gone up there, so I'm just going to bring it down, and that will just round it a little bit more. Right, now select our edges, so that, and that, and that. Those are our bases. So we'll start with 4, then reduce it to 2. Check this out again. Okay, so extrude. Then deselect the parts we don't want to extrude again. There we go. And now what I'm going to do is go into select by edge. And just start moving my edges a bit to make my model look a little bit more, well, just a nice shape really, isn't it? There we go. Bit less on that one. just like that. Okay, so it's looking quite pleasing. So we should be ready to start duplicating this in a few moments. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to be selecting by edge. So if I go up here, select by edge, and then over here I'm going to change my by surface to convex, and I'm just going to basically scoot around until this selects the edges that I want. So just messing with the slider. And you can see it's kind of selected the ones I want nearly. Not quite. However, it's a good enough basis for me to then be able to come into this and go, right, from that I can now, you know, start selecting the parts that I actually need. There are other ways of doing it, various other selection tools we can use, or you can just select it all manually, obviously. Now, for me, doing the convex one gives me a good place to start, to be honest. So if I go to my front viewport and zoom, I can then hold down Alt and start deselecting things en masse, especially things in there, and some of the things in here, though not all of them. So sometimes they're a good jumping off point even if they're not great. So just go around your model, and remember from before we're kind of selecting the ones we most need. Go around the back of this, just make sure they're all selected. And then go over here. I used to have this great tool called Auto Chamfer, which I bought quite a while ago now, must be several years. I think I bought it for the Crux set. It's by a Russian guy, and fantastically useful little set it was. Probably one of the most useful tools I've ever purchased, because it would automatically chamfer based on basically your angle of incidence and all that kind of business. So, like I say, tremendously useful. Okay, go over here. I'm just deselecting parts that don't need to be selected. There we go. And yeah, the selection process takes a few minutes, okay, it's just one of those things. If you don't like it, then, I don't know, go back to posing Barbie dolls and, you know, pretending it's not for your homemade porn in Blender and blooming Poser or whatever. Anyway, not Blender. Blender's legitimate. So people keep telling me. Actually, what I can do in this one is deselect everything. It's going to be quicker. And then I can do the bottom part separately in just a moment, because it is quite literally that, a separate part. Just deselect these bits, including all these that have been selected for no apparent reason. Just being careful that I don't get any multiplied edges here and here, because they will affect the model when it comes to time to replicate it. If you're bored, by the way, just come back in 5 minutes when I'm finished. You know what I'm doing. I just don't like cuts. They annoy me. Right, take out these ones. Because if I leave these in and chamfer them, then this will give this a get back. These will give these a much more solid edge than I want them to have. Okay, and here. And then let's go back in and select these. And these parts. Backs don't need selecting. Alright. So now I can chamfer at last, I think. Just hit F3 and check it. Looks okay. Ah, missed a bit. There, see that? That's important. As is that. Okay, check that edge, and click chamfer. And, oh, sudden chaos. Don't worry about that. Just bring this in, bring this in, bring this in. And I can change the chamfer type to a quad if I want. So you see that does that instead, which I quite like. To be honest, it gives it a much smoother look. And anything else I need to do here? No, not really. So I'll just click tick. And then go around my model quickly. Just you can see straight away if there's any errors. There's one. See? See, that was not chamfered. Now I'll do chamfer again, just put the settings on. I can move this caddy or whatever they call it out of the way while I'm doing it. There's one missing. And there. Deselect, because that shouldn't be selected. And there. Just keep an eye out for any that have been selected wrongly, you see. Okay, that looks good. Might want to reduce this a little bit. And click tick. Okay, so that one done. Now I can go down here. And I can do it the other way. I can just press chamfer, you know, the little caddy button here. And if I hold down control, I'm going to start double clicking and putting in the edges here this way. There we go. See? And it doesn't take very long. It's quite fun as well because you get to see obviously the results instantly when you do it this way. Now all the way around to here again. And let's just check this bit. Seems okay. And that bit's done as well, so that's good. So I can just now click tick. And our chamferings is about done. So if I hit that point there, now you can see it's made a nice difference. Okay, now if I go to my top viewport, there's a couple of bits I'd probably like to straighten out a little bit. So if I just grab this, probably should have straightened it up before chamfering, but that's okay. I can straighten it up now. Stick them in the middle like that, just to straighten, because I don't see the point in having a piece like that. It wouldn't be designed that way, so there's no point building it that way. Okay, and zoom it out. Not bad. Now, sorry about the noise. What I'm going to do now, pardon me, is, well, it's already auto-saved, so I don't need to worry about auto-saving. I'm probably going to look at putting some detail onto this now. First of all, because we've chamfered, I could open subdivide this, and as you see, even if I turn off iceline display, it comes out quite nicely. Okay, so that's good. Means I can convert this down now to editable polygon and work on a couple of detail pieces that I want. Now, if I end isolate for a minute, okay, so we can just see we've got this kind of one piece there hanging over the edge. And what I'm going to do is go down here where our tools are. Now, you may remember obviously this one from earlier, but what I want to do as well is I want to make a couple of basically rivet pieces almost. So nice and simple ones. So what I'm going to do is I am going to start with a cylinder. Just here like this and just drag it out. Not too big. Now it's got 18 sides if I just hit that. And for height segments, just one. Then I'm going to reduce the height down. So I'll give it a radius of 7 and a height of 1. And again, this will vary depending on what scale you're using, because I'm using a completely arbitrary scale system. Shush dog. Now, with that done, I am going to inset this like that. And then if I go to my top viewport, zoom in on it, just have a look at these edges. Probably could have done with less than 18, to be honest. Let's do that again. So I'll turn this back to a cylinder. And I think 16 should do it. Probably need to change the rotation on it a little bit. Yep, 16's fine. So right click, convert to editable polygon. That was an editable mesh instead of editable polygon. Okay, now what I should do really before I do anything actually is I'm going to reset the X form. So X form, and actually if I do it over here it's easier. Reset X form, and you'll notice this changes. The box is now there instead. Convert to editable polygon. The pivot on this is now off. I will have to fix this before I do anything else, but I can come back to that in a few minutes. It's not urgent. Now, this point here, grow, Control I, so I only have the one on the back. See? And delete. Now I've just got this one on the top. I'm going to inset it like that. There we go. And this should give us what I need in order to do the next piece. Right, now what I want to do here is make it look like I've got a bolt with a rounded head on it. This has got too many edges, to be honest, so I'm not convinced this is going to be ideal. Just take it back to its original cylinder. And I think instead of having 16 I'll go for 8. Which seems a much more logical amount of sides. And then increase the height a little bit. Like that. Convert to editable polygon. Sorry about that. Like I say, sometimes I change my ideas and my mind quite a bit. Next. Let's see. If I was to tessellate that a little bit, I would get that shape. Which is kind of what I want. Now select that top part there and I'm going to inset it. So we get that. And then from that, I just bring it out a little bit more. There we go. And then inset it a little bit again. Just a little, there we go. And then bevel it over like so. Okay, and I can just collapse that to one point, then go around my mesh, or whatever it is, and just look at this shape. Now I want to go in here and ring it, and then connect by polygon and extrude down in. So you'll have to bear with me, I've got a bit of a sore neck at the minute, which is why I'm probably less than jovial. Now, double click there and there, because we want to get these two as loops, and I want to loop on the inside as well, just there and there, and loop them, and then I can do a small chamfer. I said a small chamfer. A small chamfer. There we go. And click tick. Come back out. Now, let's have a look at the shape. See what I think of it. It's not bad. It will do. It's not overly delightful, but it will certainly do. So, take this and that, and just isolate the two again. Now I'm going to take a copy of this tool piece over here and bring it to there. And no, it doesn't have a proper name yet, because I'm going to be basically incorporating it into this model anyway. Now, if I want to, I could add a little bit of smoothing to this, like that, and that will give us that shape there. Like that. Okay, so I mean, it's okay, but it's not ideal. There we go, I'll just take this off. So I'm just going to keep the shape that we have got, really. Needs more chamfering really around the edges though. Actually no, sod it, I'm going to use open subdiv on it anyway. It's not like I'm short of polygons, is it? There we go. There, that'll do. And now I can use this to place some very simplistic detail on this. So, if I go over here to my object paint and pick an object, so that, and I should be able to paint on anything using that. No, I don't want to paint that, I want to paint my selected object. There, see? Now, as we can see, it's too big. That's okay, we can fix that by making this just 25. There we go. So now we know that's the right size. What I can do is I can put one here, and one here, and let's put one at the top as well. There and there. Okay, right click out, get rid of this piece, so and move it back over to here next to its little friend. End isolate, and then isolate selection. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach these pieces. Like so. Now, got an interesting little piece here, so I'm going to have to... I'll show you what we do when we have this edge here, because if I was to take out these 4 polygons, I wouldn't be able to bridge them again, right? But if I was to select these 4, like so, just bring them out all randomly, just wait for autosave, bring them out all randomly like that. Okay, now I can select that, and that, and then I can bridge it. So I did delete the undersides of these, didn't I? Let's have a quick check. Hope I did. Oh, I did. Good. Just not sure why these things aren't bridging like they're supposed to. Select that edge and that edge and bridge. There we go, that's that done. Now I can just put a cap on it. Okay, and that's closed. And now that means I can get these extraneous polygons and get rid of them. Hooray! Now over here, this one I don't need to make an extra polygon for, or extra polygons even. So I'm going to go here, bridge tool, See if it lets me bridge. Well, that's good. And then cap. And then down here. There we go. Now I can bridge. So from here to here. And again, just cap it. Now I go over this side. The reason I do this is because when they're connected together it looks a lot better at render time, and also it means I don't have lots of sub kind of elements going on in this model, and I can't be arsed with sub elements. Always a nuisance, and I never leave the pieces loose, because when it comes to actually rendering it out, sorry, not rendering it, rigging it out, you tend to leave bits behind. I mean, I still left bits behind in my last robot set, and that wasn't even rigged. There we go. One there, and cap. Now remember what we did here? I'm sure you can, because it was only literally 5 minutes ago. I'm going to take these pieces to here. Now I can get that, whoops, that and that, delete, bridge there to there, and then border the rest and cap it, and then I can just get rid of those. All gone. Okay, that's cool and groovy and hip. Perspective zoom. Now what I'm going to do is, with this selected, have I got my effect pivot only? Why is that selected? Right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate this piece. So if I just use my rotate tool, hold down shift, and I'm going to rotate it by 90 degrees, and I'm going to make 3 copies. There we go. And then if I take the first one and attach that one, that one, and that one, and then if I go in here and do a Control A just to select all my edges, and a weld. Now you should see we've had a catastrophic reduction of verts there. However, probably doesn't matter too much, to be honest. My view is if I can't see the difference when I press F4 in just a moment, it probably isn't important. Nope, it wasn't. It will have basically been all these little fellas down here. Yep, look, if you see, a lot of the detail has been lost on these, and it doesn't make a heap of difference. Okay, now I'm going to end my isolation of this and have a look at how this has came on. The answer being not particularly badly, to be fair, so that is cool. Now, someone pointed out to me that the hinges aren't the hinges are okay, but they're not hinges. The pistons are okay. However, they'd like to see a little bit more of a kind of support going on here. So what I can do is drag this to here, and we should be able to get it to actually sit on top of this, more or less. There we go. And just have a look at the shape of this. Now, I don't think this will fit entirely under the lip. As you can see, also my modelling this is, well, it's tricky. It's what you expect, really, isn't it? But there we go. So we can get that into there, and that to there. So that kind of fits in, but not enough, in my opinion. Maybe if it fits underneath this. Yeah, that looks more likely, although again it's kind of overlapping on this part. So I think what I'm going to have to do is give it some consideration, because I'm probably going to have to raise up this bit. And if I raise it too high, you'll see that it starts intersecting there. So I'm going to have to be very careful. Let's see what can be done. Yeah, I think I'm going to look at that in the next part, because obviously there's quite a bit already left to do, so I'm going to move this out of the way again. Off you go. There we go. And back to there. Just move it just so it resets its thing. And I will see you in the next part when I do even more fun, wacky and amazing hijinks. Till then, TTFN.